Welcome along to episode 823 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. On the show this week, Willenhall Musical Theatre Company let us know about their production of The Wizard of Oz, which is the Dumpster Mill from the 8th of April. We'll be catching up with Kat the Vet and finding out whether you let your pets on the settee. The Hygiene Bank and the Good Wash Company tell us all about edible soap and raise awareness of hygiene poverty. We'll be hearing from the UK's poet Laurette, Simon Armitage, and his poem explaining the work of the probation service. And we'll be talking love with Tom Reed Wilson. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Once again, we find ourselves in the Willenhall Musical Theatre kitchen because they're about to bring Wizard of Oz to the stage of the Dumpster Mill Theatre from the 8th through to the 13th of April. I have 4 of their number as ever, always varying heights. It keeps us on our toes. Let's have introductions, please. Tallest to smallest.
Hello, I'm Simon, and I'll be playing the Tin Man, Simon McGee.
I like the way you lean into the mic just like from blankety blank. That works.
Hello, I'm Daniel Haddon, playing the Scarecrow.
Next.
I'm Craig Griffiths and I'm playing the Lion.
And I'm Abby Selick and I'm playing Dorothy.
And I'm Simon McGee, and I'm playing the Tin Man.
Okay. It's going to be one of those. So, obviously, a fun show. I think we can't do spoilers, can we? Because everybody knows it. So, it's fairly safe. Yeah. But it's a fantastic journey, and you guys get to enjoy the magic of the Emerald City.
Oh, yes.
Who's looking forward to it most? Tell me, because the costumes are going to be interesting, aren't they? You get the easiest gig.
Yes, for once, because every other show I've done about 10 different costumes. This one's quite nice and calm.
Yeah, but are you really into your sort of checks?
Yeah, but I think so. But
Billy Gingham's been your thing.
Wigs.
It's the wigs are the thing.
Wigs have always been my thing. The bigger the better.
Okay, so big wigs. Tin Man's going to be fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we were discussing it the other day about the quick change at the end. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. And yeah,
but mostly involves WD-40 screwdriver in your case.
Sandpaper, get it off. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's not good.
Yeah. So, jet wash.
Jet wash it on side.
Yeah, I suppose you could put sellotape all over your face and then paint it. That might work, mightn't it?
Cling film.
Yeah.
And just paint the cling film and peel it off. Hey, that ain't a bad idea.
Might sweat a little bit.
Well, yeah, but you're head of sweating, aren't you? Then?
Yeah, I'm in charge of all sweating material.
Yeah, because as Scarecrow, the straw at least absorbs some of it, but it is a very physical role.
It's very physical. I found that out on Sunday on our full run through and got through like 3 different t-shirts in the run through.
We were all drenched. I think it was only you that was okay, and we were like breathing. We needed an iron lung.
Experience in front of her, that's why we're just these out of shape men.
Plus women do not perspire, they just glow.
We're down to.
There we go. Come on, what's it going to be like for you?
I would imagine this is going to be very visible in a...
It's part of the effort. You've been working on that, especially for the part.
The funny thing is, yeah, exactly, I'm hibernating. Famously, lions don't hibernate.
Well, they
this
do
one
now.
does.
That's going to be the way it'll work.
It's quite cold in ours.
That's the excuse.
But I think it is the fact that even though you'll still all be in colour at the start, you'll still almost feel as if it's in black and white, won't you? Yeah. And then you'll become Technicolor when you start off in Oz.
It's like that psychological feeling, isn't it?
Or even psychological.
Yeah.
That's
the one. Psychological.
Hints in the costumes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think most of the costumes at the start are quite sepia, black and whitey, and then it does change as we go to ours and become more colourful.
Yeah.
So,
But we ain't seen the costumes yet, have we?
but that's what we've been told.
The idea.
Yeah. So it's always a nice surprise.
I think that's, again, this is the magical world of theatre, isn't it? You never know what you're going to get. And even in pro shows, often that sort of thing is last minute, it all happens.
Yeah.
In the world of Amdram, when everything's moving around doing amazing gigs for people all over the place, I think it just brings it together again well. So, Dumpster Mill, fantastic theatre. It's going to look fantastic. How many sets? How do the sets work? What do we know so far? How many yellow bricks have you ordered?
Well,
From B&Q.
Yeah.
Other DIY places are available.
They're not these days. I think we've only got B&Q left, to be fair.
There's a lot of different things, and I believe, if I'm right, it's the first show Willenhall's done with flying, isn't it?
Yes, we've got a bubble and a balloon, which are actually flying up and in and out, and we have one whole day of technical.
Yes.
To get it all right,
Just for the bubble.
and to get everything in.
Who gets to fly with the bubble?
That is Glinda.
So
Meg.
She's going to be.
She's very excited.
Is she looking forward to it?
Yes, very, very
Even
much
after the novelty's not going to wear off, we don't think.
so. I don't think so.
We'll all be trying to get a go on
Yeah.
It's just when you need one of those little copper bands to avoid travel sickness, that could be the issue. But what else does this show mean to you guys? Is this something you've grown up watching on TV every Christmas because there was nothing else on BBC Two to watch at the time?
Definitely. Every Christmas morning. Yeah.
It was so iconic, wasn't it, back in the day? And I think it's just kept that level of being iconic, hasn't it, sort of thing, and everyone...
It's just a classic, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
And obviously with the popularity of Wicked now as well, that's brought a whole new kind of audience in as well. And a lot of
You mean they're imagining Wicked going on behind the scenes?
Yes.
Maybe that could be an interesting show to do. Well, maybe on last night, try and recreate Wicked in the background.
Imagine.
Yeah, just for a different audience who are sitting behind the stage. Let's not do that. No,
We have tried to give it our own touch, though. I would definitely say this version is more funny than the Wizard of Oz usually is. We're definitely milking the funny line.
You've always got to give it something new, except
And the choreography as well is very new. Lindsay's put a nice, fresh feel to it as well. The choreography's amazing on this one.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fine line, isn't it? Because some people come to it and they know what to expect and they want that, and then others, they want to be entertained. They want something different, don't they? So you've got that fine line. You've got to stay true to the original.
Yeah.
But then you've also got to kind of add little bits to keep them,
And most people have seen the
Oh,
story.
and we've
of the
had
Wizard of Oz.
selection bits.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a magical special. It's going to be Willenhall's take on the amazing Wizard of Oz. So all we need to do now is know how we get tickets.
So it's Dan's speciality.
Dan's head of this one.
ct.co.uk/wizard.
You could have done it more as a musical number, but
Could have sang it.
This is the CEO of CT, by the way.
yeah,
So he actually does have a brain.
Yeah.
doesn't always bring it with him. That's
That's the problem.
but have a,
Other ticketing providers are available.
but you don't want to use
not
it.
as
So it's ct.co.uk and Wizard. That'll do the job. Well, have a great time. Now we normally say break a leg, but we've got break a ruby slipper, a claw. Would that be it? Oh, but yeah, that's and then obviously stuffing can go everywhere from here, and you can just rust. Okay.
Yeah. Break a helmet.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Have a fantastic time with the Wizard of Oz, and we look forward to seeing you on stage at the
Thank
Dawson.
you so
Cheers,
much.
Jason.
Thank you.
So-
Now, Big Heart, Thick Skin and the Patience of Job. A new Simon Armitage poem is shining the light on what it's like to work in the probation service, and he joins me now, hopefully to share a bit more of it. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, obviously, the work of the probation service is an important part of society, rehabilitating prisoners as they make their way back into the outside world, and the work that goes alongside that to help people to readjust. Obviously, coming to this one must have been an interesting challenge and required quite a bit of research.
Yeah, both research and recall. I used to be a probation officer back in the day, so I've had quite an unusual career path. I did a geography degree and then went into the probation service. So I was drawing to some extent on memory, but also interviewed a lot of probation officers who are in post now to ask them, what their job was like. And I thought it would have changed massively because I know, the criminal justice system's changed and the world's changed a lot since that time. But there were, that they were telling me stories that were very familiar. And I started by asking them all, what was a typical day in the life of a probation officer, and they nearly all laughed because they were saying, there isn't really a typical day. You can have a plan and goals and objectives, but really as soon as you get into the office on a Monday morning, that all goes out of the window because some of it is firefighting and crisis management,
helping those who may not necessarily know how to the help that they're looking for, and being able to be there to give this a smooth transition in this world. But your dad was a probation officer as well, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah, it was family business really, and he had a lot of manual jobs. He was a bit of a ducker and a diver when he was younger, and then in midlife, he saw an advert in a newspaper, a recruitment drive by the probation service, looking for people with life experience to go into the job. And I think he thought, well, I've got life experience and I'm good with people. So he applied, and a couple of years later he was a qualified probation officer, and I think I saw what rewards he got from that, and I liked listening to him talking about the job. It seemed quite exciting, quite demanding at times, and I think it was a job that he did with a lot of pride. So when I'd finished my degree and I came back home, I started volunteering in the probation service. There were a lot of jobs at the time, and then went back to university and qualified. So we were quite different. He'd gone in as a non-graduate, and I'd gone in through a graduate recruitment scheme, and we didn't always see eye to eye about the job, but there was a really nice time when we were both probation officers in Greater Manchester Probation Service. I used to get into work quite a lot before him.
Now, obviously, the poem here is to really highlight the profession, particularly when we get a skewed attitude from TV drama, because there's one thing that TV drama is all about. It is the drama. So it's nothing like, or at least only partially based on the reality of it. So are you able to share the poem with us now so we can get a flavour for the world of the probation service?
Well, this is how it starts. It's called A Life in the Day of. A's sprawled in reception, he's sofa surfing, needs a bed. B's left a message, she's hearing voices again in her head. Make a plan, rip it up, boil the kettle. C keeps his third appointment in a row, minor miracle. Tell D a hard truth, give E some tough love. Juggle custard, plait sawdust, meet a deadline. Get F over the breadline for another week. Clear emails, having a good morning, till G fluffs his final warning. So the poem carries on through the alphabet, apparently anonymizing people that this probation officer is working with. But that provides a kind of organized framework for the poem in what otherwise is quite a disorganized and chaotic situation.
So where can we get the full poem and obviously find out more about the work that you've been doing to explore the probation service in its current form?
Yeah. So if you were just to tap into any search engine, Simon Armitage probation poem, I'm reliably told that this poem will pop up. And equally, if you were to type in probation recruitment, all the information about the probation service would be on that site.
Yeah, because there's opportunities there at the moment. You actually go to the full website, prisonandprobationjobs.gov.uk. You can actually go directly there if you wanted to look at seeing what opportunities there are. Should you be inspired by the poem to want to make a change and a difference? And I think that's what it's about, isn't it? The same way as your words can change someone's lives and perception now, actually, that's exactly what you're doing through the probation service. Your job role hasn't really changed much.
No, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I suppose I'm asking people whether they think they can make a difference to other people's lives, because that's in essence what the probation service does. But maybe I'm also asking them to wonder whether they're ready to make changes in their own lives. There will be people out there who are doing, fairly mundane jobs and not using the best of their skills and their talents or putting their life experience to work. And this might be exactly the kind of job that would suit them just fine and that they would do very well in.
Certainly a challenging but rewarding environment, and certainly that's reflected in the words that you've already shared with us there. For now, Poet Laureate Simon Armitage, thank you for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
To mark National Pet Month, new research has been done which is showing that more of us are letting pets on our sofas than ever before. There are times that I'm not allowed on the sofa, let alone the pets, but there you go. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Kat Henstridge, aka Kat the Celebrity Vet. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you ever so much for having me. Yes, this new research from UK Pet Food is just absolutely fascinating insight into how much we love our pets and all the different things that we do for them. So you're right, 60% of us cuddle them on the sofa, over 50% of us give them treats. Personally, I think those figures are probably a bit higher. I can't imagine anyone has a cat and doesn't let it on the sofa.
You don't have any choice. If it wants to go on the sofa, it's going on the sofa.
Yes, cats make their own decisions, don't they? So yes, I think there can't be many cats that don't think that the sofa is theirs, really.
But making your pet's birthday cakes, that's more of a novelty, isn't it?
Yes, I love that. 25% of people make their pet a birthday cake. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? I love that. And it just goes to show how much we do love them and how much we treat them as family members, because of course any other family member is going to get a cake on their birthday. So why shouldn't the cat or the dog? It just proves that they really are genuinely part of our families these days.
Yeah. Now, as Cat the vet, though, you very often you'll see now that people know you and know how you look after animals, and it's all part of looking after them well, isn't it? And making sure they get the right nutritional balance. Whereas if you're making a birthday cake, no chocolate frosting for dogs. Thank you very much. However, we still need to be mindful of what we're putting in their bowls every day of the year.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the sort of basis of this campaign that UK Pet Food are launching, which is love them madly, but feed them wisely. So we do love them madly, as has been shown in this research, the mad things that we do. And a lot of that love comes from showing them love with food. Of course it does. That's how we show love with humans, and that's how we show love with animals. But you're absolutely right. We need to feed them wisely. So if we're making them a birthday cake, it can't be chocolate. If it's a dog, it needs to be a special doggy birthday cake, and it needs to be a special cat birthday cake, or maybe even a rabbit birthday cake. And I am certain there's lots of recipes on the internet that you can find for those.
Absolutely, but it's equally good as well to make one for yourself to eat that may mirror the design. I think that's the way it works, isn't it?
Yes, as long as we don't get them mixed up and accidentally eat a meaty doggy birthday cake instead of a delicious chocolatey one for the humans, or vice versa, indeed. But yes, I think it would be only fair for everybody to have cake if it's a cake occasion.
Absolutely. But it's getting nutrition is right. It's harder for pets because they will just eat. I mean, we do exactly the same thing, but we know when we need to stop. However, as essentially wild animals that are domesticated, they will think if food's there, I've got to eat it in case no more food turns up. They are not fully aware of the concept of the local supermarket.
No, food just appears in their bowl, but you're absolutely right. And that's one of the ways where we have to make sure that love is wise, because our animals aren't humans, and we have to respect the fact that they are a different species and they do have different outlooks on things. And you're absolutely right. One of those outlooks is to do with food. If food appears, they will eat it, because there are still those natural instincts that you never quite know where your next meal is coming from. You know, you can turn on those big brown eyes and pretend that you're starved to death, and the human will probably serve you another meal, but they're never 100% sure. So we absolutely have to be wise when we're feeding them and showing that love, and making sure that we're not feeding them too much and we're not overindulging them. And there's lots of different ways to show that we love them, as proven by this survey. 30% of us go on 30% of us listen to music together, 70% of us take them on date nights. So there's plenty of ways to show that we love them.
Giving them a massage if they've had a tough day, going for a long walk, or wherever the cat gets up to. Who really knows what the cat gets up to? But reading them stories as well is quite an intriguing one, because they may follow the pictures, but they're not necessarily going to follow all the words, but they may enjoy the tone of our voices.
Yes, they're probably not super enthused by the plot, are they? But reading to pets is amazing. And especially if you've got children find reading to pets really lovely thing to do, particularly if they're not very confident with their reading, because the pets, particularly dogs, don't judge. They just listen. They, like you say, they just like the sound of our voices, and they're going to be super enthusiastic, whatever the story. And for kids especially, to be able to bond, it's a wonderful two-way street for children to read to pets.
I do like the fact that you admitted that cats do judge people there, though, so that's okay. Singing, though, is another good thing, and they're not going to mind if we're X Factor worthy or not either, are they? They're just going to enjoy the mellifluous tones of to help them get to sleep. Is there such thing as a cat or a dog lullaby?
Well, I mean, it appears so from this research. 70% of us sing them to sleep. So there must be something about some people singing that is very relaxing. Or maybe they're just desperately going to sleep to tune out.
That's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
So obviously we've talked about the importance of food. Treats, making sure we are treat wise for both ourselves and our pets is vitally important. Don't feed them more treats than actual food, and when you do give them a treat, also make sure that it is also nutritionally balanced as well, even though, as in the case of humans, the stuff that tastes good is not necessarily the one that's giving you the most of your nutrition.
Yes, it's very sad, isn't it? I do wish that chocolate cake was nutritionally balanced, and you're absolutely right, it is the same for pets. Treats are just that. They're treats, they're extras, they shouldn't form the bulk of their meals, just like us. And a great place to go and find out about those differences and how many treats and what kind of food is the UK Pet Food website. They've got loads of information on there all about that nutritional balance and how you can best make sure you're making good food choices for your pets.
ukpetfood.org is where you can go to. Also follow the links to What We Do Why. You can put that in there as well, with lots of hyphens in between it to find out more about the research, and check out whether you are looking after your pet as is normal, and even if it's normal for your pet, or whether it's something extra that you're doing that only happens to your pet. And if it is something, I'm sure they'd love to hear on the socials about what you do for you and your pet to keep them sweet.
Oh, yes, please get involved in National Pet Month and the UK Pet Food pages. We are all mad about our pets, and we're all mad in our own special ways. So hearing about that, I would love that. That would be great.
Well, Celebrity Vet Cat, the vet, Cat Henstridge, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, UK Charities unveiled a first of its kind edible soap. If you're fancying a nibble whilst you're having a bath, this could be for you. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Ruth Brock, CEO of the Hygiene Bank, and Mandy Powell, CEO and co-founder of the Good Wash. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon. How are you doing, Jason?
Oh, good here. So who do we start with on this one? Because Ruth, I mean, we know that the amazing work that you do as part of the Hygiene Bank to help people when it comes down to the fact they're often having to choose between food on the table or the ability to be able to purchase hygiene products is something which is sadly affecting many thousands of people across our area and many millions across the UK. But this is something which is a bit novel to make people think, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Jason. It's not a product, it's a protest. We have been absolutely delighted to work with Mandy on developing this product and on this campaign. But the concept of an edible soap is to highlight the absolutely invidious choice that people across this country and across your region are having to make every day, choosing between putting food on the table, paying their bills, and essential basic items that we all rely on to look and feel clean and professional and ready to go about our day. We think that is simply unjust. And our campaign that we've been putting together to remove VAT on soap is just one small step in our fight against hygiene poverty.
Yeah, because I mean, it's something that I hadn't realised was even there. I know we've talked in the past about hygiene taxes effectively on women's period products. That doesn't make any sense at all. And whilst some things could be classed as luxury, actually, a bar of soap isn't. Even if there were classifications, within that industry, that would make more sense. But at the minute, it's a straight 20% on top of everything.
Hygiene poverty is a public health issue, and I couldn't agree more, Jason. Soap is a basic necessity. Now, at the time the tampon tax was removed in 2021, the then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak explicitly recognised that period products are an essential. How is that different for soap? I don't understand. We all need soap every day to clean our hands, to wash our bodies, to keep ourselves clean and safe. It simply doesn't make sense that lobsters are VAT free, but soap is taxed at 20%.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. However, soap is something we can enjoy as a bit of a luxury too, but only in certain circumstances should we have the funding. However, working with the Good Wash company and Mandy, obviously, the work that you guys do is important too. But intrigued as to how on earth you came up with the soap that we can eat.
Well, thank you. We were approached by the Hygiene Bank, I think just over a year ago now with the concept, and the Good Wash company is a social enterprise. So every time we sell a soap or we sell a shampoo, something good happens for the community. So it kind of completely aligns with what the company's mission is and stands for. And my first comment was, well, if you eat the soap, you can't wash with the soap. So I was a little bit confused at the concept, but I thought it was a wonderful kind of protest, as Ruth said, about creating awareness that 1 in 12 people are unable, have to choose between eating and washing. And it's something that all the team were behind. And I was completely about as the CEO.
Well, I would say it's an amazing story, and say one that which does stand. But I think, Ruth, again, this sort of plays on not only our understanding of humanity, because being clean is part of what makes us human, and it then also brings not only a bit of fun and interest into it, but also it does highlight that hugely important message that if you're selling this product as food, no VAT, selling it as something to keep you fresh, it's different.
Yeah. And we all know, right, that soap is one of the most effective tools for preventing illness and disease, and as with all things, related to hygiene, it's not about the product itself, Jason. this is a great vehicle for opening up this conversation. But one of the other things that we discovered in the course of our research is that 36% of people in the UK, that's 20 million people, don't understand what hygiene poverty is. And so until we start having that conversation, we're not going to be able to drive the awareness which leads to systemic change. And this is one small step in that. And there is such an easy way for your listeners to kind of get involved if you believe, like us, that soap should be a basic necessity and not a luxury.
Yeah, and this is one for our MPs. Yes, they may have a lot on their plates at the moment, but they've got that in both realistic terms and metaphorical ones as well. They're not the ones suffering here, and we need to make a change and a difference. And Mandy, this is an interesting combination here because it contains, well, soap itself is kind of a fatty acid, isn't it? So in some ways, it starts off edible until we react it in the main part. But this time, with the use of organic oat flour, cocoa butter, avocado oil, these are all things which have then come together with a bit of tomato sauce and toast flavouring to bring it into something which might be both tasty and lather rather nicely too.
Absolutely. When I said yes to the project, in my head I was thinking, we could do like a Welsh breakfast bar, with seaweed or, an oats. But the Hygiene Bank were really keen on demonstrating, they wanted a proper evening meal bar, So I think the choice was between chicken tikka masala and beans on toast. So we opted for the beans on toast bar. But no, we've had fun making it. As I said, it's been over 12 months in development. We've worked with the Welsh Food Centre. We've worked with Swansea University. I think everyone in and around our kind of HQ is sick of sampling beans on toast soap. Every time the mailman comes in, I'm like, what does this taste of? And eventually we finally got there and they were saying, it tastes a bit like beans on toast.
Can it leave you frothing at the mouth?
Only for more, I hope. No.
Depends how much you chew.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take a massive chunk. I'd take a nibble at a time.
It's part of the novelty. This is about raising awareness. It means we're having this conversation today. Others will talk about this too. Fingers crossed we also see this in the national press over the weekend as well, because this is something which is there to sort of make a difference, cause people to think, and hopefully make the government think about VAT on soap. And I say it could even be a two-tier system, couldn't it? But certainly we need to make sure there is low-cost, available products there that people can afford within their budget structure.
Yeah, to keep themselves and their families clean, to allow their children to go to school feeling clean and fresh and ready to learn, to allow them to get up and go to work feeling professional in front of their colleagues, to allow people the confidence to go out and see their family and friends, and to avoid the shame, the embarrassment, the stigma that people living in hygiene poverty. 5.3 million people have made a choice between buying a food product and buying a toiletry product in the last 12 months. 4.2 million people are living in hygiene poverty, and every day those people are having to make these terrible choices between putting food on the table and keeping themselves and their families clean. That's just not right. So, that's why we want people to sign this petition to ask the government to remove this VAT, to make that one small difference to a family who's struggling.
Okay, right, let's run through this. And first things first, where do we find the petition?
You can find the petition, all the information about this campaign on our website, which is thehygienebank.com. And there you can also find out about other ways to get involved if you believe, like us, that this is simply unfair and unjust. You can donate to us. You can donate your time. We have incredible volunteers, over 600 across the country. And in your area, 10 local projects in Shrewsbury, in Coventry, in Tamworth, in Cannock, where people, like these brilliant people, are not waiting for the government to take action. They're not waiting for anyone else to step up. They're stepping up and giving their time, volunteering for the Hygiene Bank to make sure that people in their local communities get the basic essential products they need to live the safe and healthy lives that we all want.
Absolutely. And the Good Wash Company are there to make sure that when we are buying something, if we can afford the standard thing like soap in our lives, this is a little bit of extra, a little bit of luxury. You're doing great things because you're an ethical company as well. So how do we find you? Let's have that sales pitch, including this rather unusual, somewhat tasty bar of soap.
So the Good Wash Company is a luxurious ethical wash brand based on the notion that every time you have a wash, you do some good in society in Wales and the UK. We also have dog products. Every time you wash your dog, you help rescue dogs as well. So the profits and the business model go towards helping local communities. You can also donate. You can purchase a virtual beans on toast soap bar on our website from this morning onwards, and £15 donation goes direct to the Hygiene Bank.
Okay, and if people really want to get their hands on the thing to nibble, how can they do that as well?
I think I've checked this morning and the bars may be sold out, Ruth. I don't know whether you've got any, but it's gone a bit mad, which is great. So we'll have to look into making some more. But I've got some snack sizes available in Barry in South Wales if anybody wants to drive down and have some.
Okay, if we're passing, we can look at that. Meanwhile, I do look a good trip to Barry, so I may well get to take you up on that one, to be fair. Meanwhile, Mandy Pell, CEO and co-founder of The Good Wash, and also Ruth Brock, CEO of the Hygiene Bank. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, in this world of modern love, are we being too picky when it comes to dates? Somebody who I'm sure has very high standards is Tom Reed-Wilson, who joins me now. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Jason. It's so nice to see you.
Good to
I
see
think
you
this is
too.
our fourth outing together, isn't it?
It is, and whether we're talking about you in a stage show or whether we're, in this case, talking about love, you are a repository of knowledge on many things. And there's a bit of a survey here, which seems that sometimes talking too loudly or laughing at people's own jokes could be off-putting when it comes to the world of love.
It is a fascinating survey. It's sort of celebrating the birthday of Europcar's Model Choice Service. And it's looking into the correlation between how high our standards are for the perfect car and how high our standards are for the perfect person. And the thing that really tickles me about it is that one of the figures that came up was 14% of people are more fussy about their cars than they are about their partners. But that actually runs counter to what the whole research reveals, which is that we've got very high standards for both. And I have to say, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that, forgive this rather foolish analogy, but I think a relationship's a little bit like a cuckoo clock. It's divine to have a little songbird pop out of your clock every hour and sing to you. But you can have a clock that's equally beautiful and tells the time perfectly without a cuckoo. And that's where I am at the moment. And it's rather lovely. I don't miss the cuckoo. And in this survey, 28% of people are like me. They would sooner be single and not be irked. I suppose the flip side of that is that these things like poor hygiene and chewing too loudly, sort of daily minor annoyances, they can be solved in a relationship by communication. And if you can convey those things when you're tranquil and everything is easy and everything is lovely, then you can pin your colours to the mast. I think the trouble comes when you try and pin your colours to the mast when you're already fretful about something.
So making sure you're in the right state of mind to be able to have a word about whatever it is
Exactly
vitally important.
Snuggled up watching something and everything is very easy and it's easy to disbosom and you can find a lovely innocuous way of praising things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, honesty and affection are important. Kindness, they're all great parts of being in love with somebody, and having those traits both yourself and in them is vitally important. But we do know that people have broken up over some of these little things, which turn into big things. Sometimes in around a year.
Yes, well, I think what can happen is you can become a kind of a Mount Vesuvius, and you can have these annoyances daily. And you suppress them like molten lava. And it's very, very dangerous if it's not allowed to erupt. But I don't think you ever feel like that if you convey these feelings early. And unless it's a habit that somebody's totally oblivious to and can't nip in the bud, then you therefore don't have a problem anymore. Because once you've disbosomed about it, your partner thinks, well, I know that irks them, so I don't want them to be unhappy, so I'll curb that slightly. But you know what I think is very curious is that some of the things that came out in terms of what people seek in a perfect car are very like what I seek in a perfect gentleman.
Well, so reliability and comfort, are those two things that you need?
Reliability, comfort, and performance. I think that, for me, in a gentleman, and probably a car, are the holy trinity.
But do you want it automatic, or do you want to have to change gears manually in both?
Well, I like an eco vehicle. And with that in mind, I think most of them are these days automatic because they all tend to be a little bit newer, don't they?
They do. And
do you drive, Jason?
I do, and I drive an automatic. I've got a diesel at the moment, which is not that environmentally friendly. But a conversation is an important one. Although you can't talk to your car, can you? That's the other thing. Europe car,
No.
you have to talk to their people to get the car
Well,
that you
and
want.
I think this is what's marvelous because it takes away another one of life's complications. If you've got this wonderful, well, I suppose you could call it a car matchmaking agency who does the hard work for you. You know, you go to europecar.co.uk and they've got all the choices laid out for you. So if you want a spacious SUV, or if you're like me and you want an electric vehicle, then it's all done. It's all there, and you don't have to be fretful looking at the whole of the internet or the whole of car shows. You know, it's just easy.
Mm-hmm. So whether you're looking for that big boot or you want it to be well endowed in other areas, they have the right car for you.
You put that perfectly, yes.
And
I can't enhance that at all.
But obviously, when it comes down to cars, I mean, what do you drive at the moment?
I am always conveyed by an electric vehicle.
Always an EV.
Yeah, yes, which I think is an absolute boon. I mean, it's lovely in London knowing that the emissions are a bit lower. Mm-hmm. It's a nice feeling because it was a big problem in our city. And it's diminishing happily.
So, and do you treat your car with kindness as well? Are you somebody who always makes sure that it's tidy? Because obviously anything from Europe Car has got to be looked after properly, hasn't it?
Yes, and that's another thing that's a kind of a nice correlation. It's quite nice to sort of treat your vehicle a bit like a beloved partner. And clearly those people in that 14% who pay more attention to the car they're picking than the partner they're picking, they must take immense care of it. I mean, that bonnet must be coruscating, Jason. And as you say, the interiors, they probably have one of those nifty little hoovers that you can charge in the car.
It's always good to have a crevice tool, isn't it? Whichever way you're looking at it. So we've obviously got this research out there. We can find out more and, of course, get a bit of car dating done via Europe Car.
Yes, via europecar.co.uk. Yes.
Simple as that. Nip along there. And Tom, what else have you got going on at the moment that we ought to know about?
I'm doing some lovely things with Channel 5. They couldn't be more different to each other. One's called the Taste Test Restaurant, and it's about great supermarket hacks. So people visit the restaurants they would an ordinary restaurant, but it's all come from different supermarkets, the food. Mm-hmm. And so they pick their favorites, and then the viewer has this tremendous hack as to where to get a bargain or when the premium products come out on top. And then the other one is following in the footsteps of the grand tourists who were the 18th century equivalent of gap year students. They kind of took a whole year doing this inverted crescent through Europe, and it was perilous. I mean, there were wolves, they had to scale the Alps, but they also got a huge amount of beauty, art, culture, and sex along the way. So it's wonderful.
Sounds like a standard weekend away for you.
lads, yeah.
Always good to speak to you. I'll let you go off and choose your next EV with Europe Car, but thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Jason. It was lovely to see you again.
That's your lot for episode 823. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 824 next week. Please tell me you'll be along then. I'll see you soon. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.